The Blood of Dawnwalker is finally revealed, and today we're going to go through everything we know about it so far from the stream they had yesterday. Also, huge thanks to everyone for stopping by on Twitch for Dawnwalker co-stream. I will be streaming more there, so make sure to follow. So Dawnwalker is a first game from Rebel Wolf Studio formed by ex-CDPR devs that worked on The Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk 2077, like Konrad Tomaskiewicz, who was Witcher 3 game director, and Mateusz Tomaskiewicz, who was quest director for both of those titles. Besides that, there are many other talented devs who are also working on this, as well as composers like Piotr Musyaw that worked on Blood and Wine soundtrack, and Mikolaj Stroiński, whom you probably know from The Witcher 3 soundtrack like Silver for Monsters, Spikerug, Lullaby of the Vow, and much more. So there is no denying that the team behind this is incredible from both narrative, art, and music perspective. We sadly didn't get much gameplay last night, only showing a few seconds, with most of the time being spent on the CGI intro to the game, which is actually going to play when we enter it. So they didn't go with the usual trailer, but rather catching us up on what happened and introducing world building to us. This will be a single-player third-person action RPG without any online elements, microtransactions, NFTs, and other bull that came a usual sighting in the gaming industry today, so that's a huge plus from me. Development on Dawnwalker started 2 years ago, and it's made in Unreal Engine 5, and they're focusing on narrative sandbox game design, where it means that there is no inherently main or side quest, but rather everything you do in the game will have some sort of a ripple effect, both good or bad, probably depending on how much, you tackle each objective and how much attention you bring to yourself, meaning that, as they said, no playthrough will be the same, highlighting high replayability value. The game is set in the Carpathian area in a place called Valle Sangora during the 14th century when Black Plague was running rampant. This is also where our story begins, with Cohen, who is half vampire, half human, trying to save his sister Lunka from the current lord of the land, as they are pretty much culling everything which is sick. At that moment, 4 vampires arrive led by Brancis, who is this Nosferatu-looking fella where they overpower soldiers easily, and Brancis even cures Cohen's sister using his blood, so yeah, he is incredibly powerful. But the main game starts 2 years after this event, where Brancis took over the land and closed it off from anyone outside. But the problem is that their previous lord was also a tyrant, so people sort of accepted this new reality of vampire lords, as the only thing they have to do is give payment in blood. So they gather in a church, and regardless of who you are, you can be a child, cripple, weak, or in full strength, you must accept the tax or, well, be done with it. And even crime in this game is punished by actually draining people, yes. That's what they said. Also, as developers said, the style of the game, including clothing and architecture, draws inspiration from Poland, Ukraine, Balkan, Romania, and much more, which actually fits incredibly well for a vampire story. And now that the lords have been overtaken, you as Cohen have to dismantle their vampire organization to save your family, and as you are able to walk during, both the day and night, you will inherently be a medieval blade. During the day, Cohen vampire powers will go away, and you will be able to fight with swords and other weapons normally, where you can be defeated more easily, but during the night, full-on vampiric powers activate, giving you more strength, as you will be also fighting tougher monsters, probably even vampires who come out during the night. This is going to be the case. Maybe during the day we can actually sneak into the castle where this, vampires are being set at, so that would be cool. And besides regular foes, there will also be another enemy. Time, because you will have 30 days and 30 nights to save your family, and after that I guess, well, it's game over, or maybe something wild happens, so you must do it within that time frame. To be honest, I'm always a bit scared whenever passage of time is relevant in a game, as it can maybe be frustrating to some people that they must do this in this time frame or it's game over. But as far as I understood, time will only move when you finish a mission or a quest. And even with that, we don't know if this is only for big quests or basically everything. but the time won't move if you are just exploring around or taking a walk. So it's not moving in real time, which is also something I think that requires additional explanation later on when we see proper gameplay during the summer. Doing this is always tricky, so hopefully they nail it, as I think this gameplay segment will be incredibly important. Now, as we saw in the trailer, Brancis is not alone, and there are 3 vampire allies that will have their own sphere of influence, so you will have to go through them to cripple the organization before you move on to the main boss. But being that this is a narrative sandbox, you will decide how to do it. They even mentioned that ultimately you can storm the castle alone or get allies that will make things easier, as also vampires have their own allies as well as people who don't like their rule. So you can find a rebel cell or listen what others are saying that can be useful information for you. Let me just say that I love when games do this, where one dialogue line you hear on the street can lead you somewhere important. And everyone here has their own goals and ideals, so depending on your choices, sometimes things can get a little bit tricky because depending on who you align with. So friends can become enemies and vice versa. There will also be undead in ancient tombs, kobolds in the mines, and Uriashes who live high on the mountains, secluded from everyone else. This also means that they will be playing on verticality, as during one segment of gameplay, Cohen is standing on top of a building, so I really hope we can climb this, as that would be really awesome gameplay segment and how we navigate the map and our objectives. And also during small snippet of gameplay we saw that there is going to be, I guess, a boss fight with this mechanical creature, so that's interesting. Another gameplay mechanic they talked about is blood hunger, where you have to feed, otherwise, let's say during dialogue with anyone, regardless of who it is, it could be the most important character in the game. If you are not careful, Cohen might lose control and eat them. Now, vampires in Dawnwalker function a bit differently, where the quantity and size of their teeth represents their age. So we can see that Brancis is an ancient vampire. Also, biting someone doesn't turn a person into a vampire here, but only if they take their fang, so basically a teeth, and stick it into a person's heart. But of course, those vampires are not really evil or regular bad guys, but in a sort of a grey area, so they help but also they take, which really adds a new layer, as it will be interesting if maybe we can turn them on each other or something similar to it to basically weaken them. As I mentioned at the start, Brancis will be an active antagonist, meaning that he will give edicts that might, let's say, put military checkpoints, maybe more heavily armed guards, or something similar to it, probably depending on your actions. So if you choose violent approach, he will probably be more aggressive, but that is still open to discussion as we didn't get a detailed look into the system. Look, I really like what I heard so far, although I would of course love to see some more gameplay, but at least, world building and just gameplay formula sounds very interesting, and it brings us back to really having an RPG, where one example they brought up was Fallout 2, where inherently you have a certain goal, but it doesn't tell you go here, do that, but rather you exploring and figuring out stuff for yourself. And I love this, as also original Fallout games like 1 and 2 are, for me, some of the best RPGs ever made. I know that the biggest worry or just intrigue right now is about the whole time passage, as I saw some people being worried that they will be in a hurry to finish it, but as they mentioned, it's not moving in real time, so we don't have to worry about it. But you won't be able to finish everything, that's not going to be the case, as they want you to replay the game to have a different experience. And I also think it was mentioned a while back that the game will be the size roughly about as Blood and Wine, but look, these sort of things are best left for when there is concrete gameplay information, and also they said that this is a start of the saga, so this is going to have continuations with Cohen and everything else happening, so that's very interesting. Dawnwalker will be coming to PC and current gen consoles like PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S, but of course, as I mentioned, we don't have the exact release date yet, or even a release time frame. But I also don't expect this game to release in 2025, but I won't mind if it does, being that I really want to play this. So for now, this is pretty much everything we know about it so far. I will make more videos on this as more info comes out, so if you enjoyed this, like the video and
and subscribe for more, as well as join our community on Twitter and Discord, and huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters. This is LKM signing out, and stay classy everyone, as I will be seeing you very soon with a new video. Bye bye.